Imagine it is 3 foot lender VM on a Friday. You hit enter on a prompt to wrap up a massive project for the week.
A feeling we all know too well.
Right, exactly. And like so many of us, you have woven generative AI into the very fabric of your workflow. It drafts your emails, it analyzes your data sets, maybe it even writes your code.
Yeah, I mean, people have built entire automated systems on top of these APIs.
Exactly. So you hit enter, anticipating that familiar stream of text, but instead you get a blank screen and a stark error message.
Oh, the absolute worst.
It really is. And the kicker here is this is not a temporary server glitch. It's not a routing error. The entire AI model you rely on has simply vanished.
Wow, just gone.
Just gone. You are locked out. Your entire company is locked out. Every single tool, every process you built on top of that system is dead in the water.
The panic in that scenario is, it's visceral.
Yeah.
Because there is absolutely nothing your IT department can do to fix it.
Right. You can't just reboot it.
No, you cannot reboot a server or patch a bug. We are talking about a fundamental structural vulnerability in the way businesses have just, blindly integrated AI over the last few years.
They just assumed the faucet would never run dry.
Exactly. They assumed an endless supply.
Well, we are jumping straight into a massive inflection point happening right now in the generative AI economy. And our source material today is this really eye-opening manifesto and a corresponding press release from EON AI Ventures.
It's titled Own the Work. And it is fascinating.
It really is. So our mission for this deep dive is to decode why smart enterprises are waking up to this terrifying reality that they have, merely been renting their AI capability.
We're renting, not owning. That's the key.
Right. And we are tracking this massive, urgent scramble across industries to build an entirely new asset class called work intelligence.
Which is a complete paradigm shift.
It is. So consider this a survival guide for navigating the next phase of the AI boom. We're shifting your mindset entirely away from, which tech giant has the smartest model, and pointing the spotlight directly at what data you actually own.
Because for the past 3 years, we have basically been living inside this chaotic gold rush.
Oh, absolutely.
Enterprises have poured, billions of dollars into building products and overhauling their internal operations. But it's all balanced precariously on top of a handful of closed frontier models.
Just a few big ones.
Right. They have been paying a toll for every single token, operating under this really dangerous assumption that the supply of that external intelligence was just a permanent fixture of the universe.
Like it was electricity or something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the catalyst for this EON manifesto was a massive industry-wide shock to the system that shattered that exact assumption.
The Friday Afternoon Vanishing Act.
Yep, that's the one.
So the industry recently watched as access to a leading set of frontier models was suddenly suspended for an entire massive customer base simultaneously.
And we need to be clear here, this was not a commercial dispute over pricing.
Right, it wasn't a billing error.
No, or a localized technical outage. Those models were suspended to comply with a government export control directive.
Which is just wild to think about.
It completely rewrites the entire risk calculation for a modern enterprise. Because think about it, if a data center goes down, you yell at your cloud provider and wait for the engineers to reroute the traffic.
It's an annoyance, but it's temporary.
Right. But if a federal regulator steps in with an export control directive, that capability might be gone forever.
So suddenly, geopolitics has infiltrated the IT budget.
Perfectly said, yes. This exposed a massive structural rot hiding beneath the surface of the generative AI economy. You have these global companies that built their core daily operations around an assumption of endless cognitive supply.
And overnight, it was proven that a capability you do not control can just be legally switched off without a second of notice.
Yeah. Dan Lajerskar, he's the founder and chairman of EON AI Ventures. He captures the brutal reality of this perfectly in the manifesto.
Oh, I love this quote.
Yeah, he says, if your capability can be turned off by someone else's regulator, you never owned it.
Let's ground this for a second. Imagine you run a highly successful, incredibly profitable national delivery business.
Okay, I'm with you.
You have the best clients, your routes are optimized, your logistics are financially bulletproof, but you lease every single one of your delivery trucks from one specific foreign manufacturer.
Uh-oh, I see where this is going.
Right. Suddenly, the government revokes the license for that specific brand of truck to operate on public roads.
And the terrifying part of that truck analogy is that in the AI world, companies didn't even realize they were leasing.
Yes.
They thought because they were paying for API access, they somehow owned the highway, but they were just renting the underlying parameters.
So in your delivery scenario, overnight, your entire fleet is grounded. Your drivers are just standing around in empty parking lots.
Your business is financially pristine on a spreadsheet, but operationally, you do not exist.
You owned the business model, but you rented the core physical capability to execute it.
Exactly. And connecting this back to the bigger picture of enterprise AI, organizations have essentially been leasing their cognitive trucks.
They've been relying heavily on what the industry calls the weights.
Right, which is the technical term for the underlying parameters and neural pathways of an AI model.
Okay.
They rely on those weights to do the heavy lifting for them.
And EON's manifesto is essentially this loud warning siren arguing that the enduring value in enterprise AI is migrating rapidly and permanently away from that model layer.
Yeah, the rallying cry of their manifesto basically fits on a single line. Own the work, not the weights.
Own the work, not the weights. It's catchy.
It is. And they argue the model layer itself is becoming incredibly vulnerable for a few distinct reasons. First, it is rapidly commoditizing.
Because everyone has it now.
Right. The generative magic that shocked the world 2 years ago, it's now just a baseline software expectation.
Yeah, if your app doesn't have it, it's weird.
Exactly. Second, it is demonstrably exposed to unpredictable political and regulatory interruption, as we just saw with the export control suspension.
Right.
And third, the landscape of the models themselves is going to be in constant chaotic flux.
Yeah, I mean, we are going to see models suddenly withdrawn from the public market entirely. Others are going to be locked behind classified national security walls or reserved exclusively for frontier science computing.
Yep. And the remaining models are going to be locked in this vicious margin-crushing race to the bottom. They'll be competing against incredibly capable, near-free open-source alternatives.
Which creates a massive strategic dilemma for a chief information officer, right?
Huge dilemma.
But wait, let me push back on this for a second. Looking at the AI landscape right now, open source is everywhere. These models are getting incredibly cheap.
Very cheap.
So why shouldn't a company just wait it out? I mean, why shouldn't an enterprise just let the tech giants burn billions of dollars fighting each other, wait until the models are practically free to use, and then just adopt them?
That's a very common question.
Because why invest heavily right now in capturing their own proprietary data if the engine to process it is going to cost pennies in a year?
Dan Lajerskar addresses this specific dynamic directly in the source material. He points out that cost and control are now pushing in the exact same direction.
How so?
Well, the inference, the actual compute price of running the AI is plummeting, and open models are indeed closing the performance gap.
Right, they're getting really good.
But that is the exact reason a smart enterprise stops paying a massive premium to be locked into one specific vendor's ecosystem.
Oh, I see.
If the model is virtually free and accessible to every company on Earth, then the model itself gives you absolutely zero competitive advantage.
Because your competitors have the exact same omniscient chatbot.
Exactly. The only differentiator left, the singular asset your competitors cannot simply download off the internet or rent from a tech giant, is your own institutional knowledge.
And that is the work.
That is the work.
So the weights are the rented engine, but the work is the fuel. It's the proprietary data, the highly specific application intelligence. It's the actual historical record of how your specific experts do the physical work that makes your company money.
Spot on. The model is just the generic engine that reads the record. The record itself is the appreciating asset. And EON categorizes and structures this new asset class within a corporate ecosystem as something they call the fourth system of record.
The fourth system of record. Okay, let's unpack that. Because historically, massive enterprise software has been defined by 3 foundational systems of record.
Yeah.
You have ERP, Enterprise Resource Planning, which captures your physical resources, your supply chain, and your financials.
Crucial stuff.
Then you have CRM, Customer Relationship Management, tracking every interaction, email, and contract with your buyers.
Every sales team's best friend.
Right, and then you have PLM, Product Lifecycle Management, capturing the intricate engineering data around the physical products you build.
And those 3 systems are essentially the bedrock of global business.
But EON points out a massive, glaring blind spot in that trio, don't they?
They do, because those systems brilliantly capture the what and the who.
Okay.
They know exactly what parts are in the warehouse, who bought the finished product, and what the engineering tolerances are.
Yeah.
But none of them capture the how.
The how.
Right. Work intelligence fills that void. EON defines this new system of record as capturing expertise in motion.
Expertise in motion. I love that phrasing. We are talking about human judgment, the specific sequence of actions, the tacit know-how of skilled physical work.
Yes.
This is the stuff that has literally never lived in a database before.
It ever.
If we look at those existing systems, an ERP and a PLM are basically like having the world's most comprehensive grocery inventory list and the world's most precise, mathematically perfect recipe book.
Okay, great analogy.
But having the raw ingredients and the written recipe does not mean you can cook a Michelin star meal.
No, it definitely doesn't. And that highlights the fundamental difference between explicit knowledge and tacit knowledge.
Break that down for us.
Sure. Explicit knowledge is the recipe. It is the maintenance manual for a Boeing 737. It can be written down, stored in a PDF, and uploaded to a standard database.
Very structured, easy to share.
Exactly. Tacit knowledge, though, is entirely different. It is the muscle memory.
The human element.
Yeah, it's the intuition a chief engineer has built over 20 years, standing on a loud, vibrating manufacturing floor or, a freezing offshore oil rig.
Oh, wow.
It is knowing the slight, almost imperceptible shudder a specific valve makes right before it fails.
So, to extend that Michelin chef metaphor, work intelligence isn't about rewriting the recipe book. It's about capturing the chef's exact muscle memory.
Exactly.
It's capturing the real-time micro adjustments they make, the way they smell the sauce to know the exact second it has reduced properly.
Yes, all of that.
The split-second decision-making when a pan gets a fraction of a degree too hot. It's capturing all of that human instinct.
Which is incredibly valuable.
But this brings up a massive logistical wall, doesn't it? The theory of capturing muscle memory is brilliant, but the execution sounds impossible without falling into another vendor lock-in trap.
It does sound daunting.
I mean, if the true value lies in this tacit know-how of complex physical work, the hardest part of this entire process has to be getting the human expert to actually document their instinctual judgments.
Right.
You cannot ask a grizzled pipeline inspector wearing heavy gloves to sit down at a keyboard in the mud and type out 20 years of gut instinct into a chatbot.
You really can't. And that is the genius of EON's approach. It doesn't rely on a keyboard at all.
Wait, really? No keyboard?
No keyboard. EON executes this through a completely different architecture they call the EON Intelligence Flywheel.
Okay, tell me about the flywheel.
Well, think about EON's specific background here. They are not some new tech startup building a thin wrapper over an AI model.
Right, they've been around.
The source material highlights a 25-year heritage with EON reality, steeped heavily in spatial computing, augmented reality, and virtual reality.
So they know how to merge the digital and physical worlds.
Exactly. They are using computer vision, spatial tracking, and advanced sensors to digitize a worker's physical movements in the field in real time.
So they are observing the work rather than requiring the worker to author a manual about the work.
Exactly. When that pipeline inspector is looking at a complex valve configuration, the spatial computing system is tracking exactly where their eyes dart first.
Wow.
It tracks how much torque they apply to the wrench, the specific sequence of their physical movements.
That is incredible.
The flywheel captures all of those physical data points, validates them, and feeds them into what they call operational digital twins.
A digital twin being a live, breathing, one-to-one 3D digital replica of that physical process running in parallel with reality.
You got it.
So you are literally creating a measurable data map of human instinct. You are downloading the chef's hand movements into the kitchen's operating system.
Yes. And returning to your concern about vendor lock-in, the architecture of this flywheel is where EON N really shows its strategic teeth.
Okay, how so?
The entire system is explicitly and fiercely model agnostic. It features a critical component called an orchestration layer.
An orchestration layer. So that's basically acting as a highly intelligent router sitting between your newly captured proprietary database of human instinct and the chaotic, ever-changing landscape of AI models out there.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. EON's orchestration layer takes a specific operational task you need analyzed, and it routes it to whichever AI model happens to be the best, the cheapest, or the legally available option in any given financial quarter.
That is so smart.
It can route the data to a massive closed model from a tech giant, a specialized open source model, a domestic model built internally, or even a foreign model, depending on the legal requirements of the country the work is happening in.
So that is the ultimate firewall against the Friday afternoon vanishing act.
Exactly.
If one AI provider is suddenly restricted by a sweeping new government regulation, or if their board of directors decides to triple their API prices overnight,
Or if their data centers simply melt down.
right, if any of that happens, the enterprise's entire work intelligence corpus is completely unaffected.
The orchestration layer simply reroutes the analytical task to a different model in milliseconds.
The operational value remains totally untouched because the value lives entirely in the customer's own data and the captured human instinct, not in the tech vendor's algorithmic weights.
Precisely. And we are not talking about theoretical applications in a laboratory here.
This is happening right now.
EON AI Ventures has over 4,400 institutional customers spread across more than 80 countries. They have 136 million plus platform downloads.
That's massive scale.
And the source material notes they are currently validating this exact captured expertise model in what they call lighthouse engagements with global energy majors.
FE industry.
Yeah.
Which makes perfect sense when you look at the risk profile.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, if a digital marketing agency loses its AI copywriter for a day because of a server outage, it's highly annoying. Revenue might dip slightly.
Right, it's a headache.
But if a global energy major loses its operational intelligence for a day, if the system monitoring the pressure of a cross-country pipeline or the diagnostics of a massive refinery goes dark because a regulator flipped a switch.
It is a catastrophic, potentially life-threatening event.
Exactly. In those heavy industrial sectors, reliability is entirely non-negotiable.
Running your core physical operations on an AI model that might suddenly become export-controlled overnight is simply not a risk the board of directors can take. The stakes are much too high.
So these energy companies are proving that you can take the highest stakes, most complex physical operational use cases in the world, capture the human expertise required to run them, and deploy it safely precisely because you own the underlying asset.
It fundamentally reshapes the balance of power between Silicon Valley tech vendors and traditional global enterprises.
It really does. The traditional enterprise is waking up to the fact that their operational history, their messy real-world data, and their human expertise are actually infinitely more valuable than the generic algorithmic weights being trained in a data center.
The migration from weights to work is going to ruthlessly define the winners and losers in the industrial economy over the next decade.
No doubt.
The companies that realize their data is the actual product will thrive, while the ones that continue to rent their cognitive capabilities will find themselves eventually priced out or just regulated out of existence.
So, to sum this all up for you, the era of blindly relying on rented AI capabilities, assuming the well will never dry up, is effectively over.
It's done.
The Friday Afternoon Vanishing Act was the canary in the coal mine. It proved that if an external regulator can flip a switch and ground your delivery fleet, you never truly owned your capability in the first place.
You were just renting.
The future of enterprise AI does not belong to the companies that just cut the biggest checks for API tokens. The future belongs to organizations that treat their own physical expertise as a structured, fiercely protected, compounding asset.
Building that fourth system of record alongside your ERP, your CRM, and your PLM.
Exactly. It is about deploying spatial computing to capture expertise in motion, turning the ephemeral muscle memory of your best workers into permanent digital twins.
Ultimately, the model is just the interchangeable engine.
The record is the asset. You have to own the work, not the weights.
Perfectly said.
But before we wrap up this deep dive into the EON and manifesto, there is a profound, lingering question sitting just beneath the surface of all this incredible technology.
Oh, what's that?
Well, we just spent this whole time breaking down how incredibly valuable a top frontline worker's tacit know-how is, right?
Right.
The muscle memory, the years of hard-won judgment, the instinct that tells them a machine is about to break before the gauges do.
Yeah, that human intuition.
Right. So if a company uses a system like the EON Intelligence Flywheel to successfully capture all of that, well, if they use spatial computing to observe, map, and strip that instinct out of the human and turn it into the permanent, owned digital property of the enterprise,
Oh, I see where you're going.
what happens to the inherent value of the human expert?
Yeah.
When your unique physical judgment is permanently downloaded into the company's system of record and can be replicated infinitely by an orchestration layer, do you become more valuable as the original architect of that intelligence? Or do you become obsolete because the machine no longer needs you to cook the Michelin star meal?
That is a terrifying but very real question.
Think about it. Next time you hit enter on that prompt, ask yourself who is really owning the work.